All right, back page here is kind of a totally other different idea, but talking about a transversal, okay? That is a line that's going to intersect or cut across two or more lines. Okay, that is actually a transversal. So what is a transversal here in this diagram? It's intersecting two or more lines. That means a transversal here has to be T. Okay, so line T is a transversal, and it cuts line L and line M. All right, but when that happens with angles, there's certain things that occur, okay, but before we know their relationship, it's important to know this vocabulary and what I'm talking about when I say a corresponding angle. Okay, so it may take a little bit to see this, but a corresponding angle, those are angles on the same side of the transversal and in the same position. So same side of the transversal, same position. Okay, so if I start at angle 1, what is corresponding to it? So if you look at this transversal, here's the left side, there's the right side. So it's got to be on the same side, and it has to be in the same position. So this one's on the left side and it's on top of L. So I want left side on top of M. Right here, angle 5. Okay. And when these are parallel lines, which we'll see later, there's specific rules about like what corresponding angles are, but we'll learn that later. And like I said, those would have to be parallel for certain rules to apply. Okay, can we think of more corresponding angles? Well, if I look at the right side, the top of L, that's 2. The right side, the top of M, that's 6. So 2 and 6, angle 2, angle 6. All right, and then we did the left and right top. Now let's do the left and right bottom. So left bottom of line L is 4. Left bottom of line M is 8. Those are corresponding. So angle 4, angle 8. And then the bottom right side would be the last one there. I haven't used blue. Okay. So the bottom of line L, 3 on the right, and the bottom of the line M on the right, 7. Okay. Angle 3, angle 7. All right, and we actually listed all 8, so that is awesome. Okay, next is alternate interior angles, and luckily from alternate interior, that kind of helps you figure out what they're talking about. So they need to alternate or switch sides across your transversal there, and then they have to be on the interior of the two lines. Okay, so on the inside of your two lines that are not the transversal, but on opposite sides of the transversal. That's what alternate means, okay? So let's look at that. The inside of your lines cut by the transversal are right here. Those are interior. If you want to write that, you can. That's the interior of this diagram. So alternate interior means if I start with 4, I've got to alternate across the transversal. So angle 4 and angle 6 are alternate interior. Okay, if I started with 3, I'd have to alternate across the transversal to get the other one, 5. Okay, so angle 4 and angle 6 are cutting across the transversal but on the interior. Angle 3 and angle 5 are also alternate interior. Okay, now alternate exterior is next. Well, the exterior of these lines would be the outside part of where L and M kind of meet the outside of those, okay? And they, again, need to alternate, so be on the opposite sides of the transversal, okay? So if I start at 1, I know I got a lot of colors going on here, but if I start at angle 1, I need to stay on the exterior, which would be the pink part, but I need to alternate across my transversal, and that would give me angle 7. Okay, so I start with one, it needs to go across the transversal and stay exterior. So angle 1 and angle 7. All right, the next alternate in exterior, if I start with 2, gotta cut across the transversal, 8. Angle 2 and angle 8. Okay, and notice between these two, we've hit every angle, just somewhere on the interior, somewhere on the exterior. Okay, last relationship here, consecutive interior angles, okay? So think about interior, that's gotta be yellow, the yellow part, that are on the same side of the transversal. Consecutive interior, okay. So needs to be in the yellow, same side of the transversal. So we have angle 3 and angle 6, and angle 4 and angle 5. Those are called consecutive interior. Okay, so angle 3 and angle 6, angle 4, and angle 5, okay? And so it's very important before we learn what these relationships are and their measurements to understand or to know what the vocabulary is, okay? Which is an angle relationship, right? So, yeah, these are all angle relationships. Okay, so for these examples, we're gonna name the type of angle relationship between the angles listed here. If there is no relationship, we will write none. All right, cool, let's go through this. Angle 1 and angle 8. Okay, so those are, if you look, those are on the exterior parts, and they alternate across a transversal, right? So alternate exterior angles. Okay. Angle 2 and angle 3, those are both on the inside and on the same side, inside, same side, consecutive interior angles, okay? All right, number 3, or C, 5 and 7. All right, let's look at that. So I have 5, 7, okay? Those are on the same side of my transversal, so they're not alternating, and they lay at the same kind of location. They're on the top of the two lines, so that's a corresponding. All right, 2 and 7. Let's look at that. So angle 2 cuts across to angle 7, and they're both on the inside. All right, so that's alternate interior angles. Okay, 1 and 3, I'll use a different color. 1, angle 3. Okay, so that's corresponding. They both lie on the top of the lines on the same side of the transversal. Okay. All right, 6 and 7. Last question here. So angle 6 and angle 7, both of these. All right, well, they're on the same side and they're on the interior of the line. So that is a consecutive interior set of angles. Okay. All right, last question here. We have two sets of transversals and two sets of lines that are intersected. So it's this, but with one other line. Okay, so we're gonna have to really think about those relationships there. Let me zoom out. Okay, hopefully that's zoomed out and enough, and you can still see what I'm writing. Okay, angle 5 and angle 13. 5, 13. Okay, they sit on the same side of their transversal, which is B. Okay, so that is, and they're both on the top, corresponding. All right, 7 and 14, let's see. Angle 7 and angle 14. So their transversal is B. That's the one that's touching them. So you can kind of just ignore this. Like, this is all that matters over here for 7 and 14. They're alternating across, and they're staying on the interior. Okay, so alternate interior angles there. Let me see if you can see yellow. Alternate interior angles. So if that helps you cover up like the part of the drawing, the diagram that isn't really important. All right, so if we look at 3 and 6, let me do that in pink. Angle 3 and angle 6. Okay, now their transversal that matters is up here. So if that helps you to cut it off, you can. All right, and see how they're staying on the outside of the two lines, but they're alternating across the transversal? That's going to be an alternate exterior. All right, 9 and 16. Okay, let's see what matters there. So I have 9 and 16. All that matters is the second half of the graph now. Okay, so they're alternating across the transversal D, but they're staying on the outside of A and B. So same thing here. Okay, couple more. I didn't use, sorry. I didn't use blue yet. Okay, so angle 4 and angle 7. All right, so this is what matters here. Now, those are on the interior, but the same side. Interior, same side is consecutive. Interior. Okay, let's just do 2 more examples and then you can try the rest on your own. So 2 and 10, I'll do green again, 2, 10, because they have the same kind of relationship as 5 and 13. Okay, those are corresponding. They lay on the same side of their transversal in the same location. Okay, last one I'm going to do with you is 8 and 14. So 8, 14. Okay, now those are interior, and they're also in the same side of their transversal, okay? So consecutive, interior. They don't go across, so that's consecutive, not alternate. Okay, and so these 3, you try those out. Okay, that's it.